And thanks for joining us. You are listening to Truth for Our Time. I am Tamara Scott. Thank you for sitting in with us as we help you live God's Word in today's world. And today I'm thrilled. I want to go right to the phone lines. We are talking with Josh Klein. Josh is out of the Breitbart Jerusalem Post, and we're going to be talking about Bannon, Steve Bannon from Breitbart. The new post given to him is White House or chief strategist at the White House under the new Trump administration. Josh, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm honored to have you, and we have several folks from Breitbart who are kind enough to be guests on this radio show. Leo Holman, Lee Stranahan, we follow him and the work that he's been doing talking about refugees and the harm to both refugees and Americans when we try to bring two cultures together that don't mix. But I want to hop today to Steve Bannon from Breitbart. He's been very instrumental in the success and victory of the Trump campaign, and now he's been given a post as the chief strategist. The media's in an uproar. Why, Josh?
Well, I think the beginning of your sentence kind of gives it away, that he has been very successful and involved in Trump's success. So the left is obviously diametrically opposed to not seeing Trump succeed, and they want to gun for Steve Bannon first. I mean, he's just first on the list. This is a well-orchestrated attack. I mean, it's going on even today. They nominated Jeff Sessions as the Attorney General. You know, the headlines in a lot of places are at least pro-KKK, so it's just repeating itself. But specifically with Steve Bannon, yeah, I mean, he was definitely very heavily involved in strategy and pulling off what they figured was impossible, and they just don't want somebody surrounding Trump and seeing his administration succeed, so they just want to take him out, is what it looks like on my side.
And I think I'm seeing, too, I don't know if you're seeing it over there, but all of a sudden we're blaming the loss of the election on fake news sites and fake news. And I think they're even suggesting possibly that Breitbart might be one of those non-real websites.
Yeah, I saw that we are on the list. Yeah, I mean, this kind of harkens back to, I don't know if you remember when Obama, he had these czars in office. Cass Sunstein was one of them, but he was the information czar, and he had very similar ideas of wanting to regulate the internet and getting rid of sites that he considered conspiracy websites. Of course, they're the ones that are going to be the arbiters of that and decide what is considered true information, what is not. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of very alarming. It's pretty serious that that's going on. I would hope that under, obviously, President-elect and soon-to-be Trump, that he would be way against this and open to free press and not labeling legitimate news organizations fake news. So, yeah, I find that pretty outrageous.
And even Obama in Europe yesterday was talking about the fake news sites and the impact that it had on the campaign, and suggesting that that folks were listening more to fake news than real news. I would tell you, folks are tired of getting fake news from the mainstream media or having truth omitted or a parcel of it spun falsely, and they're going to non-traditional, or what these folks are calling fake news sites, to get the truth.
Yeah, I mean, you have even the New York Times themselves. I mean, the number one leading paper supposedly in the world coming out and admitting that they didn't cover this fairly and that they need to have a little bit of introspection and kind of rethink the way that they present the news. So that's coming from the New York Times itself. It didn't seem to last too long. A day or two later, of course, the front page is gunning for Steve Bannon with these baseless accusations of calling him a racist, a white supremacist. Breitbart, I mean, to go after the site Breitbart that has a bureau in Jerusalem and saying that the site's a breeding ground for white supremacists. I don't know if too many Nazi or supremacist websites that have Jerusalem bureaus. So, right. I mean, it's just beyond ridiculous. It's just, can't even put it into words.
Well, and it's something we need to keep an eye on, because I don't know if our listeners are aware of the ICANN when we changed the internet away from America's control into now a European control with the ICANN, ICANN, and we'll talk about that more in another segment. But let's get back to Bannon. So we are being told he's anti-Semitic, he's racist, he's a white supremacist, and yet I'm reading a couple of different things. I've got on the Truth for Our Time Facebook page an article about Steve Bannon that talks about a speech he gave that was, I think, piped into the Vatican. I think he was in California when he gave it. And this man is a learned man. First off, let's just quickly run down. He's Goldman Sachs, but he's not enmeshed and embedded in Goldman Sachs. I would say he's one who possibly walked away from it and was in it and now can understand it for the rest of us to fight the things we don't like about what we hear about Goldman Sachs. Would that be true?
Yeah, that would be really true, and that's really interesting. I actually spent yesterday I think the speech was about 49 minutes, and I actually wanted to listen to the whole thing myself, and I was quite blown away by it. Unbelievable information, strongly pushing Judeo-Christian values. He exactly brings up his experience from the inside in Goldman Sachs and how disgusted he became at the way that banks have become in the way that they just don't even see people as human beings anymore and just commodities, and just the way that kind of capitalism has transformed into a more crony form of capitalism. So, yeah, he's a very learned man. A lot of people don't know that about him. Yeah, he's got a career going back even to he was a naval officer for 10 years, Harvard graduate, as you mentioned, very successful in Hollywood. And, and then obviously started Breitbart, a huge site, and, wanted a Jerusalem Bureau for many years, and was the one that came out to Israel and was very instrumental. And it was his idea to set this up. This was a dream of his since I've been going back to 2012 when he came in. So to call him an anti-Semite, to call the site anti-Semitic, is just nonsense. I mean, even the ADL they put out, which I find outrageous. It really coarsens and cheapens the language when you start throwing out the term anti-Semite. Now they actually retracted on that after looking into it for about 10 minutes. But that just that really demonstrates the kind of campaign and the kind of machine that we're going up against. And
right.
He's not even in office yet.
Right. And all the more reason we need to have somebody like a Bannon who has, dealt with the media. He knows what he's up against, and he knows how to combat them. I really think he was a great part of the success on the social media and his ability to get news out. The terms that they're throwing at him, you're right, are just unconscionable. And if we were doing it, if it were reversed, we would be waylaid in the media for even attempting to say something like that about someone. So tell us, what do you think, as a strategist, what does he offer the Trump administration?
Yes, years of experience. I mean, obviously, just even getting Trump elected, he came in towards the end, around August, when people thought he had no chance, and they turned things around. I mean, from what I understand stuff from the outside, he's a workhorse. I've never seen anyone multitask like him. I just think that there's a reason why they don't just gun for people unless there is a reason, and the fact that he was so instrumental and successful in pushing and completing the biggest upset, and I guess from their side in modern history, that they want to go straight after him, because I think that he'll be very instrumental, and hopefully the success that we'll see from the Trump administration. And they definitely are not, that's not within their interest. There was even a story in Politico, I don't know if you saw that a few days ago. This is out in the open, where George Soros and they all met in New York for 3 days, and they were straight up talking about their plans of how to delegitimize Obama from day one, how to destroy his agenda, how to take him down. This is not, as you would call a conspiracy. This is just from their own mouths.
And how to delegitimize Trump. Yes. So I think, too, economically, he went to Harvard. He has a Harvard business degree. I think economically he'll be able to offer strategies as well there, strategies on foreign policy. Breitbart is the one news source that is faithful in reporting terrorism in America, the ISIS impact, the Islamic impact, the refugee impact on states when other websites show little about it. And I know you being in the Middle East, you have a perspective that we don't even get here. So Steve Bannon has this ability. He stepped in, for everyone who's not sure, didn't know, Steve Bannon stepped in when Andrew Breitbart was taken from us and passed away. And so he has led your organization for how long now?
Since 2012, so for coming up to close to 5 years now. And yeah, I mean, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, you don't see it's also interesting. I mean, if he was this rabid anti-Semite that they painted him as, I think you would see a lot more uniformity in the organizations coming out and condemning him. It's interesting that really it was just the ADL that retracted it. And I mean, I would, if they didn't, then I would be surprised. It's really coming from the Southern Poverty Law Center. But all the other mainstream Jewish organizations either complimented him or haven't said anything, and I think it is that idea. If anything, I was racking my head around it, and I think it is the fact that he is pro-Israel that really drives these people crazy. It's the same group that's calling him all these names are the same group that is against Israel, thinks Israel's an apartheid racist state. So it kind of actually makes sense that in a crazy way that the fact that he is pro-Israel, that they're attacking him and painting him as an anti-Semite, because that's what they do also with the state of Israel. It's the same people, the same group, and the same tactics. So if you kind of look at it through that perspective, that it kind of just makes sense in that way to me, looking at the people that are behind this. It's the same people.
If there's anything the Trump candidacy has done, it has exposed those who are not with us in the media, and it has exposed how far left the media is and what levels they'll stoop to lie, to cover up, to refuse to report on a Hillary Clinton and her issues of pay for play, her issues of Russia reset, her issues of money being taken in, the emails that she likes to draw attention to as the FBI being the issue. The FBI wouldn't have an issue if the emails hadn't first been written and used on a private, illegal, unconstitutional server. But the media covered so little of that. Trump has exposed that. He has exposed the Republicans and Democrats who are not in this for the best of our country, but maybe for themselves or for their own invitation to the White House, more concerned about that than who's in the White House. And so he's exposed so many of the weaknesses, the pundits, the political consultants, all those folks who have really dirtied the process here in America. And I think Bannon just continues on with what Trump has exposed, and he said he would be different. We wanted a shakeup, and he's shaking it up. Bannon doesn't come from the inside. He doesn't come from the media pool that reported at the White House. He doesn't come from, maybe he did at one time, I guess, I don't know, but he doesn't come from that inner group where they all seem to have this pact with each other, not to spill the beans, to keep things happy in their own little camp. Well, we Americans wanted something different.
Exactly. I mean, he's not a swamp creature, as there seems to be the main problem, is that he is not from that swamp, and they understand that, and they're threatened by it, and they see a different kind of person coming, and with that correct understanding and years and years of doing this, and I think that out of all the people, they're most afraid of him, and I mean, this is about their bottom line in the end of the day, their power, their money, their connections, just the way that the order has been in Washington for the past, 20, 30 years at least, and just how corrupted things have become. So, I mean, it makes sense that these people would be reacting this way. I mean, he's threatening to clean this up. If there wasn't all this corruption and all these things that are going on that they claim Trump is, just over-exaggerating, then I don't really know what they're so fearful of.
30 seconds left. Israel is pleased with the Trump victory? Yeah. I mean,
after Obama, they are definitely pleased with, and I mean, nothing could have gotten worse for the country of Israel after Obama. So they kind of are definitely in a good place as far as U.S.-Israel relation ties, and they're definitely looking forward to working with the Trump administration. I know that Bibi Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, is one of the first people that Trump is looking forward to meeting with once he gets into office.
We've got to go to break. Josh Klein, thank you for chopping in. I hope you'll stop in again.